Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Sentinel Files. And we're going to be talking about some interesting and pervasive news stories that are ongoing right now. Without further ado, here's the Ed McMahon of the East Coast, Chris Cordani. Good morning, Chris, or good
Hey
afternoon.
yo, how you doing?
I'm doing good. So, yeah. So, by the way, I know that you already put this up on some other programs, but you were out with, speaking of hobnobbing, with people who did used to actually live near Ed McMahon, Cherie Curry and Susan Olson. You saw them. Our friends. We're friends. We're all friends here. And we're real friends, right? I mean, we really are. We're
Yes,
not
we are.
joking.
And they're great people. We are friends, and they were both in my neck of the woods or near my neck of the woods in New Jersey recently for a
Yeah.
nice fest. So I thought I'd say hello to them in person, and we had a good time for a little bit. They did pretty well, and they'll be back on with us pretty soon. That's going to be fun. They were going to be on
Yeah.
this week, but circumstances move things around. And you know what? I'd rather just have you and me talk to them anyway. We have a really good guest
Yeah.
today. Paul Preston from Agenda 21 Radio and the New California Movement. We're going to talk about all of that in the second half of the show.
So I got a quick question on that because I read a little bit about that. So when you have the new California movement, do you have to take a lot of prunes to get that movement? I don't know.
I don't know. Looking at Katie Porter, I don't think she's eaten a fruit in her life. So I'm
No,
thinking
I think that's
Burger King.
she's like full of scurvy too, right?
A lot
He's
of
scurvy dog, right? Isn't it like a term, an official Democrat term from when they had their own pirates? Scurvy
yar
dog.
me hearties, these scurvy. That's right. Scurvy and berry and all that other stuff.
That's right.
Limeys
Barry
and oh my
Barry, Rockhouse Berry, right? That was his name before he became the president. So, just saying.
oh, bathhouse berry.
Anyway, I digress. So we do want to talk about Democrat shenanigans because Chris, just for the record, and I think other folks have heard me say this. I said it on the air this morning. This is all a troll. President Trump is trolling the left because I don't think we're going to find anything. And I'm not going to say there's nothing bad about Republicans in there. I'm just saying most of it is Democrat wrongdoing, right?
Absolutely. And look, I believe it's going to be a lot of deep state wrongdoing. To
Yeah.
me, the Democrats and neocon type establishment Republicans, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are involved in, or they get their hands dirty to be where they are. Now we're
Yeah.
going to find out a lot of this. We're going to find out who is involved with Jeffrey Epstein, who was on the island, who was doing nefarious or performing nefarious acts. Maybe we'll even see if the theories about Epstein working with certain foreign intelligence groups are true.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where it's all going to go. And I do want to hit that a little bit harder. But one of our first focuses this afternoon is Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. Is that her name? Is that how you pronounce it?
Stacey
Plaskett?
Plaskett. And Congresswoman, you can say maybe Congresswoman Light, because she's that token representative for the Virgin Islands, which isn't really, which is obviously a territory. So she's
Yeah.
there just to sit around and screech.
And she does a pretty good job of screeching. But with that said, this is her response. This is just fresh out. This is this morning. She was on CNN as if she would go anywhere else to talk about her problems. Her response to the allegation of her wrongdoing with Epstein. This is, and I'm quoting. Quote: There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes. Oh, okay. That's her response. That's her on CNN this morning. It's like, oh, okay. Did you take the Kamala Harris stupid pill this morning or something there, Congresswoman? I mean, that's nuts.
She was
Literally
caught.
nuts.
She was
Yeah.
caught. She's rather ineffectual to begin with. She really doesn't have a vote. So I'm sure she thinks just because Jeffrey Epstein was some sort of constituent, we're going to get to that because Jeffrey
Yeah.
Epstein was a pal of hers on the Virgin Islands, which, by the way, I'm not sure what Jeffrey Epstein was doing on a place called the Virgin Islands anyway, but that's another story for another day. Let's go through some of the texts as reported
Yeah.
by the Washington Post.
Let's do
New
that.
York Post. Yes.
Let's do that. Yeah.
The Washington Post obtained the text. I read this from the New York Post. Let's see. It was when Michael Cohen, that other sleazebag liar, was testifying in front of Congress back in 2019.
Yeah.
The assignment was to get Donald Trump. So
And stop for a second there before we go on.
right,
2018 was
2019.
when.
Yep.
No, let me
Oh, yeah.
finish. 2018 was when the Democrats figured out that Epstein was a child predator. So that's why I'm saying we have to look at this in context. So when Cohen's testifying in 2019, Stacey Plaskett already knew that he was a pedophile. Just saying.
Oh,
So
Democrats knew this before
what
that.
you're about to talk about, she already knew that he was convicted of child sex trafficking and abusing children. So keep going.
Oh, let me take you back a little bit too. He was also arrested on sexual charges back in 2008, or he was picked up on that. And it winds up that his story was buried a little bit later on during the Barack Obama administration. So yes,
Right.
he's been known for a very long time. First, let's go to the text. During this meeting, Cohen was yapping, and she says, Cohen brought up Rona, R-O-N-A in capital letters, keeper of the secrets, from Epstein
Yeah.
to Plaskett. Plaskett goes, Rona? Is that an acronym? Is that an acronym? So apparently he goes, he's opened the door to, this is from Epstein again to Plaskett. He's opened the door to questions who are the other henchmen at Trump.org. Boy, this is badly done.
Right.
They text like 13-year-olds. Anyway.
Literally. You ought to see this. This is literally like that.
Yep. She says, yep, very aware and waiting my turn. So basically, her and Epstein were plotting to get Donald Trump. All this garbage about him being buddy with Trump, Epstein and Trump. This is all garbage. He was persona non grata since 2002. We already know the story.
Right.
But they were going back and forth for a very long time, especially about this woman named Rona Graff, and she was supposed to bring up questions about her. And now she's running defense. So on the congressional floor, she decided to run a little bit of defense for herself by saying, well, the guy is just a constituent. I didn't know nothing.
And I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time.
It was public knowledge. It was public knowledge.
If you listen to the context, obviously public knowledge.
That he was under federal investigation. And
by the way, even if it wasn't public knowledge, there's a good chance she would have known already.
Well, yes.
Who was sharing.
Beyond that, again, she was the DNC fundraiser for the Democrat Senate Electoral Committee, and she had gotten a donation pledge from Epstein, and the Senate leadership said, no, the guy's a felon. You can't take it. So this happened in 2018. So what she's saying is she is lying again. Just keep going.
I shall. As a matter of fact, she keeps burying herself.
Information with me. Now, I heard recently.
Okay, well, she went on after that stuff, but she kept going on, talking about how he was a constituent, blah, blah, blah. And no, I had to do my duty. She really buried herself on this one. She should have stayed quiet, but let's leave it to Jimmy Raskin to try to run defense for her as well. It's always nice.
And by the way, a quick thing about the constituent. Chris, do you text with your member of Congress? I don't.
Not mine. Mine's
I know who he is.
Yeah.
I don't get to text with him during hearings. Just saying.
I wonder if they were texting about their next date. Maybe they were really texting saying, "Oh, are you going to go to Jasmine's party later on?"
So, and not to say I don't text with members of Congress. I just texted with one earlier today, but I don't. It's not like it's a constituent. Like, oh, I'm just a guy, a knucklehead that lives in North Carolina in Edenton. Here, Tony. My congressman is Don Davis. I do not text with Don Davis. Just saying. So keep going. Just keep going.
All right. So here's Jimmy Raskin again without the do-rag. I missed that.
Which is that they've arraigned a Democrat. Well, they want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And
text, but again, he's probably ill-informed about the whole thing. I'm sure he was just as surprised as some of the others were.
I think he and certain members have gone to the island. I think his name's going to come up.
I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing. Well, they want to.
So he actually, I heard about this with Jamie Raskin going to the island, possibly. He was confused. He thought he was going to meet Mr. Rourke.
I think so. Well, I thought he was going on the rescue mission to retrieve Skipper, Marianne, and the professor. That's what he thought.
I didn't know he was a kid. He looked just like Tattoo.
He did.
He even said, "Boss, boss, what are you doing? What are you sticking with this guy for, boss?" And of course, not to be outdone, the queen of class, the posh woman herself, Yasmin Croquet, decides, well,
I want to talk about her in a second. Yeah, keep going with her.
She goes, well, I'm going to show you that so many other people took money from Jeffrey Epstein. Not just
girl,
but money.
You go,
so
girl.
Let's hear the boss girl do this.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly.
My team.
Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick.
And?
I just want to be clear.
And?
If this is that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And
all right, so what did they really expose?
Let's do it. Expose it all.
What did she expose? Lee Zeldin says, yes, Crockett, a physician named Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who is a totally different person than the other Jeffrey Epstein, donated to a prior campaign of mine. Wow. No relation, you genius.
Wow. She is pretty dull. And by the way, I just want to get this on the table as well. I was talking about this last night on the thing I was on with Warren and Matt. The Matt guy that was on, the Marine Corps guy, I was on his thing last night. Anyway.
I like him.
I like him a lot. He's a good guy. Anyway, I was talking about this, like Jasmine Croquet or Jasmine Crockett, depending on one's if you're at Target or not. if you're at Target, it's Jasmine Croquet. If you're at Walmart, it's Jasmine Crockett. It's like it's a difference in store. Just saying. Anyway, but my point being is that she was on with Mark Elias. When I see Mark Elias, I think, man, if amoebas could vote to not be amoebas, they'd vote to get rid of that guy, because Mark Elias is slimy. He's like an amoeba. He's like a one-cell animal that exudes evil. He replicates evil. Anyway, Jasmine Croquet, was on with Mark Elias, and she said, oh, we've got to stop using Dominion voting machines because the Republicans will use them in the midterms to cheat. Well, gee, it's talk about a spontaneous utterance of guilt. Like, yeah, just tell us about the fact that the Dominion machines have been used to cheat by your side. Go ahead.
Well,
so she is literally stupid. So,
well, it depends on what year it is. Some years, if the Republicans win, the Dominion machines are being used to cheat. Certainly not 2020, and certainly not.
Yeah, of course not.
No,
of course not.
No.
But anyway, so she is just not bright, and I'll leave it at that. So,
well, her team isn't bright either. I would be incredibly embarrassed if I didn't verify what my team gave me. I understand you have to trust your team, but your team didn't verify the idea that maybe, just maybe, Tony, now there might actually be another person named Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I know. Well, her team consists of 5 gerbils and a goat. So I don't know if that's a good team. Just saying.
Well, she loaned the goat to Zoran Mamdani's team.
That's right. She's nuzzling up to the Muslims. Nuzzling to the Muslims. Yeah.
But it's really embarrassing. This woman will do anything to hog the camera, and she always embarrasses herself. And she doesn't even add that nice little cackle like Kamala Harris does.
I know she's not entertaining. She's just kind of brutish and just, I don't know how to, it's like, she's just like, again, you go to, she's not even like a Temu. She's like a dollar store version of a bad politician. So just saying.
Well, as the great Emo Phillips would say, that sounds like a cue. If ever I heard one. So we go to brutish and nasty right here. Jennifer. Yes.
I feel so sad. Bill Nye, his sex change operation has failed. I don't know why, but I feel terrible. Look at Bill there on I guess if you're he's on the he's not the one he's not wearing glasses. So I feel sorry. Bill, was not a bad looking guy, but he's a horrible looking woman, right? I mean, horrible. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
This woman, now again, she is a cautionary tale for Chardonnay abuse.
Oh,
She must drink at least 2 bottles before she goes on air. And I mean, these 2 women actually look like they're really nasty too. They're waiting to bite
yeah.
at somebody. I wouldn't
yeah.
even say pit bulls, like 2 chihuahuas, 2 drunk chihuahuas.
Two
So
drunk
anyway,
chihuahuas. That's a mini series waiting to be made right there.
so this Welch chick decided to mouth off about, I don't know, everything under the sun, but mouth off about President Trump and suppose all these rumors about Epstein Island. You want to hear what this whatever has to say? Let's hear it.
Think about teenage girls that you know that are 14, 15, 16 years old, no matter how developed or underdeveloped they are. Think about how childlike they are mentally and emotionally. And then think about 40, 50, and 60-year-old men that you know. And that's what happened here. These men are rapists. They are pedophiles. They are predators. And the Republican Party, under the Christian signaling leadership of Kanks, are trying to act like they care about children. And you even have Kanks talking about
By the way, I have a feeling she's projecting that. This woman never cared about. This woman wouldn't even care about the Epstein files. She'd bury the Epstein files. And she even say they're lies if she didn't think or hope that Donald Trump was going to be in there somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Keep going.
what's with this other woman? I don't know. Mark Cuban, I think she is over there.
No, she's the one that used to be the valet for Epstein. She opened doors for him. That's why they know so much about kids. No, I'm just joking.
She's missing a nose ring, but she has the uniform glasses and haircut and everything else. So I suppose that's in there.
Yeah.
But,
so well, no, I just want to address this whole thing. First off, a program note: those 2 women paid money, a lot of money, to look like they do. This is not like them just getting up and throwing some makeup on. No. Welch, the Welch chick there, paid a lot of money to have that severe thing. Remember the movie Brazil? That's a great movie, by the way. Well, even though Robert De Niro's in it, but I tolerate it anyway. There's a scene in there where the main character's mom has her face being stretched, all the skin being stretched. That's her right there, stretched face.
Oh, that's gotta hurt. I do want to point one thing out, though. Amid all this with Plaskett and everything else, the Republicans couldn't even get it done to censor this woman.
Yeah.
And that's an embarrassment too, by the way. I'm a free speech person, but all censor really is going, hey, you did something bad. That's not very nice. And they couldn't even accomplish that. That worries me about the Republicans at this point too.
Yeah. So, well, there's a lot of infighting that for those who have been on my X account today, have noticed I've been calling out. I think, unfortunately, there's some folks who are playing for the other team that are pretending to be Republicans. So it's time we get past this infighting and get back on message. President Trump said it. It's like, okay, enough of this. So, okay, kids, recess is over. Get back and start working. Yeah, Vinny, you're right. It's skin face.
Anybody
What
got
was
some
that?
questions for him
Skin
over here,
face.
sir?
Wasn't there a character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre that was called that? Leatherface.
Leatherface.
She's
I believe
like Leatherface.
Yeah, kids like to say Butterface, but I think this is more Leatherface. You got a point there.
I can't imagine anybody dating that, man or woman. Just saying. It's like, I don't know.
Look, I'm not big on making fun of looks, and I'll be honest with you. But the fact is, she looks like she's mean and nasty. She looks like I mean, you talk about resting rhymes with witch face. Yeah. This woman has active rhymes with witch face.
I think there's, you got something there. So I think, Chris, I don't know this, but I heard a rumor that when Nancy Pelosi leaves Congress, she's going to give Welch all of her flying monkeys. I think that's going to happen.
I thought Holker was going to get those.
No, I don't know. I think Hochul was in the running, but I think she lost.
But
She's
this
not.
Jennifer
She's
Welch,
not
this
bat
this
faced enough.
this Jennifer Welch reminds me of those abusive, like all the abusive, drunken moms or mean ex-wives on every sitcom or drama on television. That's what she reminds
Yeah,
me of.
yeah.
This, yeah, a
So,
stereotype.
well, but I gotta. I mean, I'm gonna ask the audience because we got some folks commenting.
Right.
Who pays money to look like that? Seriously, who goes to their plastic surgeons like, oh, doctor, make me look more severe and evil? It's like, who does that? Who does that? Well, she did apparently. I don't know.
Well, somebody else who's getting a makeover or a let's just say an attempted alpha
Oh
male
my.
makeover is Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell, best known for well, basically having no teeth but a lot of fang at one point. This guy,
She pegged him, by the way. I've heard. I don't
oof.
know that. I haven't seen the videos, but there may be videos out there. I don't
By the
know.
way, we should change his name from Jeff to Mark because perfect. He's a perfect Mark. Mark Swalwell. That's what I'm
Yeah.
calling him. Don't correct me. That's his name, Mark
Yeah.
Swalwell. He's yammering on about how the mean Trump administration for the last year,
Yeah.
last,
And
well, for
Rena
the
just
whole year,
said
right?
all of Hollywood looks like this now. They all have that slimy, like 5-day beard. Like I've got a couple of days, but I don't look like that.
Huh, yeah,
And
same
that
here.
guy looks like he just came back from robbing a 7-Eleven, which he probably did. Just saying.
I don't know. Maybe he needed that Slurpee that's on his corner over here. Anyway, let's hear
Yeah.
him. He decided that the Trump administration was being so mean that he wants to weaponize the government, and he's telling us that right now.
And Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, you should familiarize yourself
From a little rise.
with the four corners of this room.
Uh-huh.
Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, get to know that witness chair. You're going to be parked in it for a long time.
Yeah, not so much.
Right. But either way, he's threatening sitting officials who are actually doing their jobs. These people are not
Right.
laundering money. They're not being corrupt. They're not hiring patronage positions or they're not hiring people out of patronage, and they are not
No.
sitting around with their fingers up their coolies doing absolutely nothing, taking the taxpayers' money. These people are doing their job. So what Swalwell is saying, Mark Swalwell is saying, is don't do your job or else we're going to come after you.
Exactly. Well, what he's saying basically is he's going to bog them down by constantly demanding they come over and testify. And the simple solution is, yeah, I'm not playing your game there. By the way, one of the things I think we can all agree on, the FBI needs to release all of the Swalwell files regarding his relationship with Fang. Am I right? I don't think anybody here would disagree with that. There are files which were used by members of Congress, senior members, to kick him off the Intelligence Committee. We need to see those files, right, Chris?
I would like to see them. The only problem is, are they going to be dirtier or sicker than the Epstein files?
They're going to be just like the Hunter Biden hard drive files. Just saying.
Speaking of hard drive,
Probably a lot of. I think they probably had the same photographer for all the bad events. I'm just saying.
by the way,
probably a
by the
pattern.
way, I want to say this as well. Marjorie Taylor
Yeah.
Greene has done the right thing while she took office. You might not always agree with her, but this is a person who is officially working to represent her people and not just a party. She's not a party line tower. She has repeatedly called out people on both sides. She's forced people to put their names behind votes. And she has really been the center driving the revelation of the Epstein files. And I believe she's done a great job. I don't care if anybody calls her a traitor or not. A representative's job, regardless of party, is to do what your constituents want. And that's what they wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Donald Trump, I believe, and he's been a very good president, an overall positive president, but he miscalculated this one. He miscalculated how his base really wants business done differently in Washington. That's why they voted for him. We want to know what these politicians are doing. We want to know what they're doing with our money. And we want to know what kind of people are sitting in these legislative chairs and donating money to these people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think Swalwell was one of the guys who particularly benefited from the dark money because he was a big anti-gun advocate. Not still is. And I remember that back in the days when I was living in Northern Virginia, he would show up over at the NRA building, National Rifle Association building, off of 66, and do little cute protests. And I suspect he was being, dating his spy friend back in those days too, which is interesting. So, Chris, do you think they're going to rename General Zhao's chicken after his thing?
I call it, I don't know.
Eric Smallwell's thing.
They'll
Eric Smallwell's chicken.
I don't know. They'll probably name some cats or dogs after him, but I don't know about it. I don't know about chicken.
Yeah, I don't know.
Swalwell is pretty brave when he's sitting down in the, let's just say, bowels of the House minority. You can yell all you want, scream all you want when you're in the minority. You can grandstand all you want because nothing's going to get done, and no one's going to listen to you. And he can just say what he wants and try to act like he's in the right. But when the time comes and he does anything, he's probably going to be afraid to do that. He's one of those. He's like a congressional chicken hawk, if you will.
Well, he does sit down when he pees too, so I don't know if that has.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of sitting down when he pees, I forgot to mention this part about the Epstein files. One guy hightailed it out of public life rather quickly. Larry Summers, a very close Clinton advisor. By the way, he was in Clinton's cabinet, by the way.
Interesting, huh?
Yes, and this guy actually sought Jeffrey Epstein's advice, according to Zero Hedge and investigation here, about how to cheat on his wife with a daughter of a Chinese Communist Party official.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Right.
He and Swalwell have that in common.
Well, you don't even have to call Jeffrey Epstein for that. First off, he probably could have just texted Stacey Plaskett.
That's right. During a hearing.
Right. The fact you could text anybody and talk to anybody. Why Epstein? Of all people.
So there's way more to this that I think would come out. So the whole Clinton thing, the one name that has been ignored by their side, which I think we're going to see a lot on, is Bill Clinton. Larry Summer, like you said, Chris, was a very close advisor to Clinton. This all goes deep. And the fact that you had Epstein, who was upset with Trump because Trump wouldn't let him play, so to speak, in Mar-a-Lago, which was a big deal. Right. I think we're gonna come to find now that this is. And by the way, Summers resigned from OpenAI. He did a couple of other things recently too. So Summers is guilty. He's acting like a guilty man. I think he's guilty. I think we're going to come to find a lot more people were in this inner circle with Epstein who were high advisors. And I think we're going to learn a lot about Slick Willie, where the Slick Willie was slick, so to speak.
Yeah, we're gonna find out more than we bargained for, I believe, on this one.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for our guest.
Okay. We'll keep going. What else can we talk about?
But while we're doing that, I want to go into this as well. Not enough people are talking about this. I'm not saying nobody is, because I have heard and I've listened to some pretty good shows and discussions about this. But let's put it this way. Here's an unlikely team up. UN Ambassador Waltz and Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
These two have teamed up to rail against the Christian genocide happening in Nigeria. That's something that I believe should have been paid more attention to. I know President Trump brought it up a few times. And yes, I have seen PBS articles. Yeah. I have seen some other mainstream media articles trying to, let's say, downplay what's really going on in Nigeria.
Right. So let's talk about this for a second, because again, I've watched the left respond to this. And even though this is a good cause, this is an excellent cause. The idea of defending people who are being victimized by Islam, these Christians, great idea. Anybody who is concerned about religious freedom should be concerned about this. But Chris, do you know what the left's response is on X regarding Nicki Minaj to this? Have you seen it? Do you know what it is?
She's probably now a persona non grata or an evil MAGA white person.
This is terrible. She's terrible. This is how low the Republicans have gone and Donald Trump is gone. It's like, so she's gone from a bright shining star to the left whenever she supported Kamala Harris to, she's stupid. There's, I just, whenever I see it, I just say, you guys are racist, and they are. The left is racist. The moment that someone basically says something or does something positive on an issue they don't like or supports President Trump, you're now essentially evil. This is truly despicable behavior by the left, and God bless her for sticking up. And Mike Waltz, good for Mike, teaming with her on this. To me, this is a nonpartisan issue, but the left always wants to make it partisan.
Well, this is something that has been kind of brought up and down on occasion over the last many years. The mainstream media will not report on it on a regular basis. But there has been a massive Christian genocide throughout parts of North Africa and the Middle East. I've actually spoken with and worked closely with a gentleman who his name's Father Paul, but he can't really show his face a lot in public because there's a price on his head. He runs a mission to help persecuted, and has a hospital mission helping persecuted Christians in Lebanon. Yeah. This is happening in a lot of places and never ever gets coverage because there's a narrative that the Democrats want out there. There's a narrative that the left and the globalists want out there that Christians are horrible. White people are horrible. We want to de-white the West. You want to de-Christianize the West. Now what's happening is it's going to overwhelm them pretty soon, as it's overwhelmed a lot of our own cities and definitely a lot of European cities.
Yeah. So this isn't the only despicable thing the Democrats are doing right now. Chris, I don't know if you're going to bring it up. Can you bring it up pretty quick? The Democrat lawmakers calling for a military coup against the United States, against the sitting president.
Oh, yes, so, I have that.
Navy Captain retired, now Congressman Mark Kelly, a guy who took an oath to defend the Constitution, is now in open rebellion. He and Slotkin, that speaking about someone that has a horse face that needs Ozempic, man, and a bunch of others. There she is. Man, oh man.
Oh, this is a very well produced and choreographed message.
Oh yeah.
To overthrow your.
Let's play it. Let's play it. Can we play it? Let's play it.
Yes, we can.
This is bad. This is as bad as it gets.
Senator Mark Kelly, Representative Chris DeLuzio,
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
By the way, don't these people remind you of Dick Tracy Rogues Gallery?
They should be all in jail.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military,
but that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now.
All right, can I ask you a question? I want to stump this right here. The Democrats here are saying that the military is being used against American citizens. Well, the lawfare types use the government's legal system against American citizens.
Of course.
Use the police against American citizens.
Of course.
I don't see the idea of stopping crime and kicking out criminal illegal aliens going against American citizens. I don't know. Am I wrong here, Tony?
No, you're right. So let's look at where this came from. Look at those people. Those are all the most severe deep state supporters that exist. As a matter of fact, one of the members of Congress on there is Maggie Goodlander. Do you know who Maggie Goodlander is married to?
Mr. Goodlander.
No.
Okay,
Jake
I
Sullivan.
know. I had to. I've been waiting weeks to use this one.
Beaker.
She's married yes, to Jake Sullivan. That's the only.
Yeah, no, it's a good joke, but no, she's married to Jake Sullivan. I guess she's so ashamed of him she won't even take his name. Yeah, I'll keep my name, thanks, there, Jakey. Jake Sullivan. So when I saw that name, it's like, oh, there he is. There's Jake.
Yeah.
Would you? I don't know. Come on, would you guys go to bed with someone that looks like that? I wouldn't. Man or woman? It's like, no, I don't think so. Anyway, so Goodlander. Well, I guess she didn't have a good landing on Beaker, right? Just saying. I don't think it was a good landing. I don't know, but it didn't sound like it was a good landing to me. Anyway, Maggie Goodlander from New Hampshire was a naval reservist intelligence officer. Now, there's a distinction with the difference. I was a Army reservist, but I was in the Army Reserve as part of my cover to do the stuff I had to do as an intelligence officer. She was not. She was there to get her ticket punched. So Goodlander was not even a real intelligence officer in the Navy. She was a reservist, and she did all these political things. Oh, by the way, did I say she worked for Merrick Garland? She worked for Merrick Garland.
Oh,
So yeah, so just look at who is behind the message, and it's all seditious. Goodlander, Kelly, these other Crow. None of these people actually retired except for Mark Kelly. All of them did not even serve in time to retire. He's a reservist or a member of whatever they were in. That should tell you a lot about the fact they couldn't cut it. And Mark Kelly, the only reason he got through is he was an astronaut, and apparently not a good one because he became a Democrat. Just saying. So look below the surface on this. But the one thing I think we could all agree on, we'll bring on Paul in a second, is that this is sedition. And I retweeted Carl Higbee earlier today. Cash Patel should be investigating these people, getting a grand jury together for indicting them for sedition. This should not stand. So,
and I agree with you 100%. You're right. This should not stand. We cannot let any of this happen.
no.
I do want
No.
to pop back to Epstein, though, because I wanted to throw this question at you. I also want to throw this question at our guest, Paul Preston, who is the host of, and we'll get him in a second. He's the host of Agenda 21 Radio. I'll get his page up there when I get him in there. There you go. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome.
Hey, Paul.
Hello. How are
Good
you?
afternoon.
All right. We spent a
Good,
lot of
good.
this time talking about Jeffrey Epstein and the whole situation going on there. The files are going to be released most likely because Trump will sign this. It's just unanimous. The people of America want to know what the F. Okay. Fact is, though, this is not just about the crimes and everything else. There's a deeper issue involved. That the big picture says a lot of the globalist types, the World Economic Forum lovers, and the one world government types, if you will. I know they're all three peas in the same pea pod. They have a lot of, let's just say, interest in this story as well. Do they not?
Oh, absolutely. They got a lot of things vested over the years because of how long Jeffrey Epstein has been engaged in his ritualistic behaviors. It's a global reach, and of course, all the intelligence agencies are named and involved in one way, shape, or another. So it gets into the whole idea of the pedophiles in general, at child sacrifice, you name it. It gets into all that. It's tentacles that go that way. The only problem that I have with it is I think it's like a democratic distraction from the realities. And unfortunately, some people are making some judgment mistakes at this time about Trump's involvement. I don't see Trump actively involved or engaged with it. I don't understand. I just don't see that. I've been associated in some way in covering him since around 2008. I was trained by the LA Police Department's Crimes Against Children's Task Force in 1986. I've been looking at pedophiles ever since then, of the Hollywood nature and on the national level. His name never came up as somebody that was probably involved with Epstein. Never in all those years and I've been at this now. Of course, it's quite a thing on our radio show and our statehood movement about child trafficking, and we've identified positively all of them, and we've had numerous MK Ultra survivors about the whole process. And once again, Donald Trump never came up.
Yeah, Paul. So Paul, I was covering on another show last night the fact that there's an intelligence aspect of this, and maybe you already know about it. I'm just going to bring it up and throw it out there. One of the techniques that we've learned the bad guys use, a lot of bad guys, especially the ones you're referring to, something called brownstoning. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but basically, brownstoning comes from New York City, and the brownstones, where it's a form of essentially a honeypot, but where these old guys like Larry Summer, to use a name, who think that they want to sleep with young girls, which apparently he probably did. Well, what happens is the bad guys know this, and they get him in bed with, I don't know, a 20-something-year-old, and the 20-something-year-old says, "Oh my God, Larry, you're hot. you're like Ron Jeremy. I don't think it was ever said, but I don't
That's
know
a
that.
long one.
Maybe. Yeah, he's like Ron Jeremy, only,
Right.
a politician. Anyway, they played to the ego and they said, hey, this girl says, I've got a friend who wants to have a threesome. And then when they have the threesome, she's underage, this other girl, this third girl, and they get them on tape. So that's what I think Epstein was doing. I think it's what the bad guys do. So do you believe that we've had criminal elements, intelligence community elements, doing this criminal behavior using young girls to entrap people to get them tied to the bad guy party?
It's not just young girls; it's trafficking in babies on up.
Yeah, babies.
And having ritualistic sex with babies and sacrificing babies and the whole nine
Horrible
yards. I mean,
stuff. People don't understand how bad this stuff is. I don't
no,
think
they
understand.
really truly don't. And we've been implicating people. I mean, out here in California, you have a legislature. In fact, we were warned in our training in 1986 by the Los Angeles Police Department's Crimes Against Children's Task Force. They were worried about Romanian and Russian babies from adoption agencies in Russia flying from St. Petersburg into LAX, dropping off caged children and babies even from the Romanian orphanages, which have long been known to be child sex trafficked areas. And of course, everybody in the class we were shocked. This is in 86. What are they doing? Like, what are they doing? Then we got into the whole satanic ritualistic behavior and all that other stuff for sacrifice and organ transplants and all. Adrenochrome. That's the first time I ever heard about adrenochrome and what that was all about and how that was handled. And we were just all of us in shock. But I've known this for a long time, and I've actually been activated to find missing children over the years, and it's not a pretty world. It really is not, and the people don't understand it. And they're very naive. It's the world of compromise. Many of our guests that we've had have been MK Ultra babies or children. They were sold into the MK Ultra program at ages 5 and 6, and they grew up and developed in the MK Ultra program and became very important as well as young children in compromising politicians. A lot of our politicians, the big ones that people don't might recognize the names such as Edmund G. Brown, who was the governor of California, was a huge trafficker. Alan Cranston, the United States Senator, was a huge trafficker in California. And he was. We have witnesses that came forward as a result of our broadcast, that remembered during the time of the Soviet Union, seeing Alan Cranston and meeting with him and talking with him on aircraft flying over to the Soviet Union to do what? To pick up children.
Yeah.
And that's a shocker, but that's what happened. And we have witnesses.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's him right there. He's definitely was one of the players in this whole ritualistic situation in terms of compromising politicians. Now, a lot of the politicians would actually actively get Mexican kids. They called them Mexicans as long as they were brown skinned. It didn't matter what part of the world they came from. But they would use the Mexican children, in this parentheses as referring to brown skinned kids, and use them and be sacrificing these kids in front of various politicians that might be drunk or whatever, and having pictures of dead bodies of children surrounding the politician. And they become compromised very quickly with that one.
Right. Yeah. So the bottom line is these people have behaved in truly evil, satanic ways. This has not been well organized. I've known this for a while by the fact that there were organizations that friends of mine have been targeting on the East Coast going after these things. By the way, one of the other organizations which actually engages this are the ones who try to rescue children. There are nonprofits who actually pretend to be, we're just trying to help save children. No, they're the ones actually taking and trafficking children, and they use this nonprofit as a cover. I was horrified to find that some of these groups, and then they use private PMC, private military, the private military guys, security guys. You put people in the back of a black SUV, nobody questions what's going on. It's been horrible to know that there's a systemic thing. The politicians are involved, and that's my point to you, Paul. people get away with this because there are people within the law enforcement and political system that protects them. Am I right?
Absolutely, 100%. And especially about your nonprofits, your NGOs, which many of your NGOs just recently, of course, during the Obama era, were flushed with cash by the
Yep.
USAID. Out here in California, our NGOs, for the New California State, we did a New California State Doge program, and hundreds, thousands of NGOs popped up all over the place, most notably in Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
which multiple billions of dollars were being distributed by way of county supervisors to their friends and everything. It's a terrible mess. We're in the process of finalizing our report to the Attorney General on this, but it's unbelievable. You can. In that era, if you knew somebody over the last couple of years with the Biden administration, you can open up an NGO, sign your paperwork, go to a certain state, get a corporation, get your paperwork, and apply to a county, and a county would say, "Oh yeah, we need those services." Well, one of the services that we found was a lone corporate officer in an NGO that was getting $20 million a year for his salary.
Wow.
We have no idea what he was doing. None.
Wow.
Zero.
So,
I-
yeah, you can hide. Well, Paul, you can hide things in all sorts of non-governmental organizations, and but that's the next thing I want to ask, because Arena brought it up, and I think it's a good question. How much does President Trump understand of what we're talking about? I think he understands quite a bit. So, how much do you think he understands?
I think
I
he
know that
thoroughly understands it.
Yeah, and I think Cash Patel and company have been told to go after it. But I think what we know he knows, but are they moving fast enough and effective enough to start countering it? What do you think?
They're moving very fast, in my opinion.
Good.
And we're not being told a lot, and I understand
Good.
that. I understand why we're not, and we shouldn't know right now. Let's let these guys do their work. They are just laser focused, every one of them, from Pam Bondi on down. I've been involved with these kind of things before at different levels in the state and other places. And I can tell you point blank, they're not easy to investigate. These are very slick people. They're very,
Right,
very
exactly.
they're very, very conniving about what they do, how they do it. And it's a very sophisticated. It's been going on for centuries. And now it's coming to an end because, you're calling out places like the Vatican. You're calling out, the city of London, who've long engaged in these behaviors and sacrifices. These global elites, this is sort of bread and butter to them. So this is not an easy crowd to pin down, but they're pinning them down, and they're making up enough of a ruckus that it's destroying them in California anyway. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. Where these people are being approached, like Edmund G. Brown and Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown is his son of Edmund G. Brown, and he's implicated in this trafficking as well, and the sacrificing of children, the hunting of children. I live in Northern California, and there's long been stories about children being hunted by these people, and of course we were able to do our research and find at least 3 locations in which that did occur.
Wow. Well,
hunting children. Imagine that.
I unfortunately can't imagine people being that evil, but I have a kind of a compound question for you. So I'm friends with Vivian Kubrick, the daughter of Stan Kubrick. His last movie was Eyes Wide Shut, which was relating to essentially human sacrifice and the shenanigans you're talking about in London. Some people have speculated that him doing that movie is what led to his death. I don't know if that's true or not. But I don't think Hollywood wants to give up the secret. I think they're way more involved in this than what they want people to know. Do you agree with that?
Hollywood is on the run, and they've been on the run for a while. But one of the things you might want to remember, or you might not know this, but to a pedophile and to anybody who commits this kind of behavior, to be pursued is actually an orgasm to them. And so they get excited. It's stimulating. It's very erotic. And so when they're being pursued, that's part of the gig, literally. You had a guy by the name of, what was his name? The guy that, he was the money launderer. I'll think of his name, Ed Buck. Ed Buck.
Oh my God, Ed Buck. I talk about him on my feed all the time. Yeah.
Right. Ed Buck was the money launderer, or I should say the money bundler for Adam Schiff. and for Eric Swalwell, and for Jerry Brown, for Gavin Newsom, for Nancy Pelosi. He was the North Hollywood money bundler for them for years, and for other Democrats as well. And of course, he was caught literally because what he was doing was he was having sex with 19 and 20-year-old. That was kind of his preference, black young men, by giving them hot heroin and other things.
He killed
to get
two of
them
them.
inebriated,
Yeah,
and then
he
would
killed
have
two.
ritualistic sex with them. Well,
Yeah.
a couple of them died, and we interviewed both the parents, and the parents were just aghast in the first murder because the LAPD sheriff wasn't doing anything. Well, the
Right.
second time around, different sheriff, they arrest Ed Buck after a similar situation. Well, that was one of the best buddies of Adam Schiff, who was just right across the 5 freeway from one another in Burbank, which I thought was very interesting. But so there's Adam Schiff that needs to be looked at. Clearly, the hotel, the Standard Hotel, there's photographs of Adam Schiff with his arms around black kids, black boys, standing in front of the Standard Hotel. Well, the Standard Hotel is long known in Hollywood as a place in which pedophilic behavior was supported and endorsed.
You
It
bring
was
up
a hangout
very
for pedophiles.
you bring up something very interesting, Paul, that some of these people find it exciting, almost a sport to be pursued about all of this. And and now you're talking about some of the possibilities where they're being photographed with their arms around kids or being seen like that, almost like they know whether they're pursued or not, they know they're never going to be put away for any of this.
That's correct, because they look at the system that they're in once they get into a certain level of it, and no one's going to come after them, because the law enforcement, and again, I'm going to point to Kash Patel and the FBI and Pam Bondi. They are law enforcement that don't give a damn about them, and that's the best thing that we can have, because I've had this happen. We found a child not too far from where I'm seated right now, and law enforcement did not help. And so, like I told one of the detectives, I said, either you're with us or you're against us or you're with them. And of course, he backed way out of the picture. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that happens all around. And of course, they hide themselves very well. One of the things that's a big concern is the numbers of kids that came across the border that are unattended. Our estimate is that it's about 10 million kids came across. And there's a reason for that, because of the MK Ultra programs that they're still professing and doing in large numbers. When you get into the MK Ultra programs, you find that a lot of your major universities are actually engaged in this and doing research and developing what they call soldiers, and they're sovereign soldiers as children. And they become the worker bees as children being trained in the MK Ultra program going forward. And some survive it, and some are trafficked. Most all are trafficked, but then some of them don't turn out to be good trafficked children, and they ultimately end up being sacrificed and sold for their organs or the adrenochrome process.
Right.
Listen, this is something that's just shocking to most people, that we could do these to human beings. But this is the language. This is the world of these elite people, and that's why Donald Trump is such a rarity. I've asked some interesting people that were trafficked starting in the 1950s and 60s, and I asked them everything about Donald Trump on air. I said, do you see anywhere in this realm? And they've named other politicians, Gerald Brown, or not Gerald Brown, Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
Big time.
Oh, I don't doubt the Republicans. But so Paul, on that point though, relating to the severity of this. Now, we've talked to our friends Cherie Curry and Susan Olson, who I know support your effort, about Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030. Paul, this fits in with this global effort to make essentially human beings into a slave race for the elites, right? I mean, this is all related to that.
That's exactly what it is. And you can thank Himmler and Hitler for developing, as I've understood it, the MK Ultra program, which has been flourishing for years and needs to be stopped. And we need to start with the universities. That would be a good place, and pull their grants in any kind of psychological research that they're doing that has application to children in particular.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's it's by chance that Klaus Schwab his dad was a Nazi, and that he has this utopian vision of global order. And a note to the audience: never trust a German with a global vision of utopian order. Just saying.
Well,
started in
never
the 30s,
trusted.
didn't work out
In
well.
my opinion, you can't trust the offspring of Nazis. Arnold Schwarzenegger's dad was a big time Nazi in Austria.
Yeah.
You can take a look at Mueller. Mueller is an identical twin to his dad, who was a big time Nazi operator.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be a surprise there that when we start to see them at this level, and then there's Adam Schiff, and then there's others that we're looking at as people that are possibly related to these things, because his MO is just perfect for it. But I'm not saying where we're at on all that, but there's a possibility that there's a big strong linkage there. But so they find themselves being planted, and that's the whole idea behind the MK Ultra program. Is
Chris, I got to take a break. Keep going on this. I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
And we do have to end pretty soon too, anyway. But let's keep moving forward. I do. You did mention the ritualistic practices on these children. I do have a book that I know Dr. Corsi. You've been on with him before. He talks a lot to Craig Lund, who is obviously, it's not his real name, but he was part of the Silicon Valley elite for a while, broke free from them, and wrote a book telling a fictionalized account. It's called Silicon Satan, and they do groom young people to join into these practices, these Luciferian practices. And the book goes into all of that. There's a second book supposedly coming out, depending on what Craig is doing in the next few months, I suppose. But this is not new. It's a practice that's been going on for decades, probably centuries, if you will. And there are people politically here who get into all this, and they're protected. You named a couple very recently who seem to be Teflon when it comes to any sort of corruption. But every once in a while, we're going to get a child predator type that's amongst the, let's just say, political ranks, amongst the Hollywood ranks. Apparently, these people are so well organized, they know where to cut off some people and throw us a bone to think things are getting done, which only makes things worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and again, these people are highly intelligent, and they're groomed, they're trained on avoidance techniques and invitation techniques to add to more people to be groomed. And a lot of times, the shocker is that a lot of parents sell their children to these programs. And we did a situation up here in which three young ladies were abducted, and one of them was 19 years old, and the other two were both 15, and they looked the same stature, same color hair, same skin tone, the same everything. And it was interesting. We found the first girl the next day face down in one of our rivers down here.
Oh,
well, she was the 19-year-old. That the other two we couldn't find. We ultimately did find the one I was asked to find to begin with. We found her, and she was 10 days missing, and she was being sexually tortured, literally, for every single day, repeatedly, probably 10 times a day.
Wow.
And we finally intervened on that one and stopped it. But the other one, it was kind of interesting. We're all sitting around kind of, well, we got her back, and, everything, it's really bad what happened, and, the doctors were working on it and that sort of thing. And I finally asked a question, where's the other one? Where's the third one? And so we started digging around. Nobody's digging on this. The sheriff's not doing it. Nobody's doing anything. So we sent somebody over to the house, and come to find out the parents sold her to a trafficker.
Sold her
to a trafficker.
So we're nearing the end of the time, but Paul, obviously, I'm a believer by the fact that I've seen this firsthand. I know what these people are capable of. I was horrified to have spent most of my career fighting bad guys overseas to come home and find we have a whole infrastructure of evil that exists hidden in plain sight. These people exist. I'm sure people listening to us have seen these people in action, don't even notice it because they hide things in plain sight. I always tell people, as a retired spy, the best operational techniques are those which allow for you to operate in plain sight, that nobody even sees anything because it's not spooky. And that's what's spooky about these people. They've learned how to use, like you said, avoid observation and hide their evil and good, and like they will pick good NGOs and
Right.
feed the poor. They use these good organizations for fronts to do evil, right? I mean, it's horrible.
100%.
And yeah, and so we got to get wiser. So so before we go, again, your friends, and I want to have you back on with Cherie and Susan so we can continue to discuss this, right, Chris? We'll do that.
Absolutely. We
And-
all want to discuss Agenda 21 and, of course, the New California movement with you. We'll have to do that next time you're on.
Yeah, yeah. But
You more
in
than
the
happy to
meantime,
come
what
back.
can people do? So what can people do to educate besides going to your website? Go check out Paul Preston's website. What else can we do to help educate people on what we're talking about here?
Well, you can actually, one of the things that people are doing is joining the New California State Movement. We're a constitutional movement. We've been at it now for 8.5 years. We're
Wow.
coming up on an anniversary, 9 years in January. But it's been a long slog, but we're getting very, very close to it. Now, one of the things that we do is we actively engage in finding people that are doing criminal behavior in California. We have a wonderful attorney. He's a former prosecutor, and we've been able to do a lot of really necessary work with county supervisors, elected officials, and so on that are corrupt. We just take them right on. So we have been very, very effective in that regard right now. And we had a big meeting last night, and we sat around thinking just how many people have resigned or moved on because we put pressure on them. And plus, we still have reports going out to the Department of Justice. Chris Bish, you may have heard of her. She's a New Californian. She's the one who's done all the real estate research on Adam Schiff. Right now, she's in the air on her way to Washington to testify in a grand jury against Adam Schiff. And she's got the receipts, and she's going to be holding him accountable. And, she's a New California girl. So this is the kind of stuff we're up to. We intend to straighten out California and New California.
So one last question before we go. Is it true that the character Patrick Bateman from American Psycho is based on Gavin Newsom? Is that true? 'Cause it seems to be a lot of people.
Heyo!
I think it's true. I think it's true. Just
Well,
saying. I think it's
everybody's
true.
wondering where he's at. He's in Brazil right now. And
Oh,
we
is
were
he?
speculating on the radio today that he's in Brazil. Oh, actually, last night, but we were speculating that he's going to stay there and not come back to California. Now, wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, it would be. That would be. Well, go ahead, make our day. Don't come back. But
That's
I'm
right.
sure he'll come back.
That's right.
All right, Paul. Paul, thank you for being here. This is great. We had a great audience reception. This is something near and dear to our heart because we want people to be educated and understand the very evil people are worried about is right in front of them.
Right.
You don't have to go looking for it. It's here now. It's way
No.
closer than people understand. So, and we'll have you and Cherie and Susan back, right, Chris?
Yes, we'll have all of you back. We're going to do this again, and it's going to be, well, a little more of a party, I suppose. But we
That's
have to delve deep into this Agenda 2030, which I think they'll change to Agenda 2040 pretty soon. But, well, let's see what they try to pull.
The evil never rests, and nor should we. So
No.
anyway, Paul, thanks for being here. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, folks, for showing up. We'll see. We'll be back next week for another S-Files, Sentinel Files discussion next Wednesday. And in the meantime, we got a Thursday discussion tomorrow night. We got Ambassador Hank Cooper tomorrow night, right, Chris?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
My former friend and mentor from the Reagan years, who ran Strategic Defense Initiative. We talk about the nuclear enterprise, which is pretty damn important since a nuclear war would ruin the planet. Just saying, something we should be still worried about.
Yes.
And then the Sunday debrief. We'll probably talk a little bit about this again. So thanks for being here. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.